Hi, this is David. Today we're going to talk about typing a function in TypeScript. This exercise here is going to be a little bit advanced for some people, but the concept here will actually apply in many cases when you work with TypeScript project. Let's get started. We have a simple function here called forEach, and forEach function is actually a function that is heavily used in JavaScript when you iterate through object. Some people refer to that as a function, one of the functions you could use to actually iterate in functional way in JavaScript. Now, that function here, as you can see, takes a collection which is of type any and then a callback of type any. So the simple rule here that says €5 per any now takes us to about €10. Fine, okay? So how can we turn that into 0? So let's fix that right away. So to start, we're going to check what any is about here. So we have a collection, and that collection here is either an array, as we can see here, and sometime here we see that it could be an object. So let's write that down. So any, instead of any, I'm going to use a simple generic over here and type this as a collection of a type T right now. You can see that right away, right below, I have a small issue because this could be an object. So how do you type an object? You're just going to come here and then say, this one's going to have a key, which is a string. And right here, we can actually put it inside an object notation and then say the return value could be of type any. Well, okay, we're back to a place where we have actually another €5 here because we just use any, right? So let's actually fix it. So instead of saying any here, I'm going to put a type U over there and then say this one's going to be of type U, right? So that is already a way to type this. So our project is still working. We have our code still running, so we shouldn't be quite too bad here, right? So now, how about a callback? The callback, it's a function, and if we see the usage here, sometimes it takes an element, a key, and a collection. Oh, and here it takes an element, a key. Well, here it's not actually a key, it's an index, right? We're looping through it, so it's an index of type number, right? And then the collection, which is basically that collection over here of that type. So how could we fix that? So here we can just assume that this one is a function simply, and what does that return? We don't really care at this stage, but how do we type this? The element here, since we're looping through that collection, it could be either something of type T or something of type U over there. That's the first part of the thing. And then we're going to have something here. So let's make sure that here we actually give it a name, right? That's the element we have. And then we're going to have the index, which could be either a number, but in the case of looping through an object, the key is actually a string, right? So we can come here and then say that it's either a number or a string. Okay. And then the last element there is the same type as this, right? So I can literally copy this and then move that down here. And then we're gonna say that's the collection we're receiving from here. So let me make sure that I'm putting it the right way, right? So now we see that it looks already much better. We have kind of no any right here. So we were able to bring that to a 0, which is pretty nice. But this looks really awful, right? And we have actually didn't type the return value here, right? So I'm just gonna put the void here because that's what it does. And if I close this, I should be able to see that this function over here is basically taking two arguments, a collection and then a callback. And the collection is just that combination of either an array of T or an object. And the callback takes an element which is either of type T or of type U. The index takes a number or a string, and then we have the same collection here. Okay, So let's do a little bit of cleanup here, right? We already done some good things here, so we can actually make it much cleaner. So how would you do so? What we're going to do, we're going to first remove this from here, and we're going to quickly create a type. Let's say this thing is going to be our I collection, okay? And what that thing's going to be, it's either this or that, right? So we're just gonna have to type it here and then say that we're gonna have something of type T or something of type U over there, right? So now I can safely write this and say that this one is of type, it's a collection like this, and we can pass the T and the U over here, right? So that's the first one. We can move on over there. Now, the callback itself. So the callback takes, it's a function. So what we could do here, we're gonna remove that and just call it I callable or callback if you want, right? And now we can go over here and then define that callback. So what is it? Here I'm gonna play with the interface, right? You could do the same thing with a collection, with a type, but I'm gonna use an interface in that case. So I'm going to call that I callback, all right? And then we're going to just pass this over here, right? So now we have this, and we need to use the generic like this, and we set T and U over there. And we have one more thing, is this needs to be a simple thing right there. And now we have that collection, which is basically a T collection again of type T and U over there, right? So this is much cleaner, and we just need to use those generic over here, right? So that's it. We have something already much cleaner. It's well typed. We define a T collection and I callback here. So I don't know how you do that on your side. Maybe you use just collection or callback instead of I collection or T collection. But for me, I find it quite simple. And more importantly here, I don't have a fine to pay. So I can remove this. And that's it for today. You have a function that is well typed, and you can then use it to make sure that the code you write is safer. That's it. Thank you. See you next time, and happy Tuesday.